Things are really moving quick here. It's already Friday. I'm in about the same place I was on Monday. So, been doing what I said, although it's just taking longer than I could have imagined. See, I didn't come out here yesterday. And then one day, Mike came over, the guy I'm doing this for, and helped me. Anyways, haven't been working on it super hard. I've been sanding all the lifting areas out, glazing them, basically blocking the whole car out with 120 or 150. I'm just going to reprime the whole thing. What we got is, I tested a few areas. Right here, after I glazed this and sanded it, I ended up breaking back through. And here I broke back through. And we put some waterborne primer on it, which doesn't really react with anything. So that's what I'm gonna do. Wherever there's any spots like this, I'm gonna water prime that. I'm gonna water prime over all the areas like this. So I'll do that, and then I'll sand those with some 220 or something real lightly, and then I'll poly over everything again. So that's the plan. I haven't gotten very far, like I said. This quarter panel's got still an area right here, and it's got an area down there. Not sure how bad they are. I'm gonna just block over them and see how much they go away, how much they stay, and then continue on. This back panel's not too bad. Most of it, well, it's got an area right here that's pretty bad. But this is the main worst thing left. And the door and the fender might block out without really doing anything. And the goal is to prime this again tomorrow. Whether I make it or not, I'll tell you tomorrow night. So yeah. I guess I'll get back to sanding. Here's something you might not know unless you've done it, is blocking polyester primer. The dust goes everywhere. It's super fine. It'll go through your clothes. I mean, it will absolutely destroy your shop. It's crazy. Anyway, just thought you might like to know. Well, it is now 10:30. That's earlier than I thought, actually. But that's it. I'm done for the night. I have got... This was already done. Finished this quarter panel. Sanded this. Glazed the areas I needed to. Sanded the glaze that was on here. Blocked out this quarter. Glazed the spots. Sanded them out, blocked that door out. There's nothing wrong with the door. I probably could have left this door and fender and not repolyed them. But being I'm repolying everything else, I'm going to block these with 120. And just repoly the whole thing. So all I have left to do is to block this fender. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, so it should be fairly easy. And then I'll water prime all these spots. Let those dry and then scuff those up with some 1 or 220 or something. And then try again. I don't know, to address some of the comments, would epoxy have worked? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. And also, I don't have any epoxy for this car. I have Bondo, sandpaper, and polyester primer, and that is all I have to do with this car. I'm not painting it. Like I said, this is a trade deal for some work on my shoebox. It is also not the guy's car I'm trading with. It's a customer of his It's a longtime friend, buddy deal type of situation, and it's not meant to be perfect. I don't know if they necessarily knew what was going on with this lacquer primer situation, but nonetheless, stripping it is not going to happen, and whatever happens to this car after it leaves here is not my problem. So that's why I am doing what I'm been asked to do to it. So is the lacquer always going to be a problem under this? Yes. Is the paint going to fail later? Probably. Will I ever see it again? I don't think so. I don't know who owns this car. Never seen them. Probably never will. So, is it a waste of work to do all this? Yeah. But hey, I don't care. I gotta work on this thing. I just need this thing gone. So, tomorrow I'll sand that and continue on. Alrighty then. I am now done sanding. See, fender's all I had left, I think. There was nothing but one spot to glaze on the fender, and it's down there, and it's below the rocker molding anyway. But I fixed it just because. And I blew the car off, cleaned up in here just a little bit. You know, the 50-cent song, just a little bit. I hate it, I can't stand it. And not just a little bit, a lot of it. Anyways, enough of that. So I'm gonna turn the heat on just a little bit, and I guess we'll start putting some water primer on all these spots. Anyway, that's the plan. We'll see what happens. Now, so far so good. I got one coat over each of the areas on this side. This is like a speed waterborne primer. So basically, put a coat on 3 to 5 minutes or till it's flashed off. Put another coat on, 3 to 5 coats, and then you can sand it in about 30 minutes. I don't have the right, that air dryer thing, so it's going to take longer to dry. I'm just going to blow air over it, wait for it to flash off before I put any more on. I don't see anything. This really doesn't react with anything. Water doesn't, so shouldn't see anything, but luckily I don't see anything happening. So I'll get 3 coats or so over these spots. I'll probably let it dry till tomorrow. I'll scuff over these with some 220. You don't want to remove a whole lot. So there was some bare metal areas, and you have to have like 2 mils over your bare metal after sanding. But like, I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't really care. But anyway, we're heading in the right direction. Put some on over here. Take that chair, and then I'll drop my waxy grease remover bottle. So basically anywhere, any even spots just like that. Put some on, let it flash off. This was one of the real bad wrinkling areas right here. There was all kinds of them, but you can't like hose this stuff on. You kind of just gotta put a coat on and let it flash off all the way. From what I hear, I don't know. I'm not a water-based guy, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, I will just keep doing this. It's weird to me how you can put a water-based primer over bare metal. But they say you can, and they say not to put any etch or anything on first. Sanded that all the way out right there. I might wipe that back off and redo that spot. I must have missed that spot. But anyway. This stuff's actually pretty thick. It covers up stuff pretty good. And instead of... I'm just keeping going because I don't know why, but I need to set this down to turn the camera off, and I don't feel like stopping right this second. But I guess I will, because my hose is caught on something and I need to move anyway. So anyway, guess we'll be back when we're done with this and before we poly. Or we won't be back and you'll never see this car again. Alright, next day, all this waterborne primer's dry. I'm just taking my soft pad. It's just one of those Meguiar's spongy pads. So I got some 240 on here. I'm using 240 because I have a roll of 240 and I never use 240, so I'm going to use it in here. I'm just going over and just scuffing the primer up. I'm not trying to really sand any off. Just trying to make sure it's scuffed evenly and all sanded. Yeah, I don't want to remove much because I want to leave it on there as a barrier, obviously. That's why we put it there. So that's all I'm doing right there. And I might go further out than my primer was just to get all the overspray knocked off. You could do this with a DA and a soft pad, but I really want to control a little more how much I'm taking off. Now that I said that, I may get the DA anyway. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing. And bring you back when we're ready to try polying it again. I don't really know a lot about this waterborne primer. It seems pretty good. It seems like it has a good build. You know, it dries fast, it sands easy. I don't really know how it is as far as shrinkage. My buddy Mike D, who's doing this car, told me it doesn't shrink. He knows more about waterborne stuff than I do because he's used a lot of it and like collision repair. But I don't know if it has a use in restoration type of work. Yeah, I really don't know why you would use it other than doing a collision repair, you know, and you're using waterborne stuff. I don't know, or if you're forced to use waterborne products. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know if it has a benefit. But I'm sure you're probably. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I'm going to keep sanding this and clean it off, and we'll try it again. Okay, so I went around and sanded all the spots I primed with 240 with the same piece of paper. I didn't have to change it once, and I have the same piece I used by hand. Stuff sands amazing. For those wondering what this is, I think it's PPG EPW 115. It's a waterborne speed primer. I don't know anything about its intended uses other than like I said, assuming collision repair, where you can't use solvent. But man, it works so good, I don't know why you couldn't use it like as a final primer, or I don't know. It's hard to test its shrinkage because it stays, the pot life is so long. I don't know how long it would take to dry. I mean, I can uncap that and see how long it takes to harden in there, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only other experience I had with waterborne primer was like back in the early 2000s. DuPont had like a 1K water primer we'd use on the new Saturn parts because they'd always lift. If you scuffed up the new pieces and you broke through their crappy little primer, the edges would always wrinkle and lift on you. And that stuff sucked. They said they wouldn't react, but it did. This stuff's totally different. This actually has an activator. It's like 10% or something of some kind of water you put in there. Like I said, I don't know anything about it. You can look it up and research it. Maybe somebody that knows what it is can tell me about it. But I know it worked awesome on this. It sands good. It feels good. Whether the poly's gonna like going on top of it, I have no idea. And once again, I have no idea what it's gonna do down the road, and I don't care. So you can comment all you want about how this is the wrong way. I've told you I already know this is the wrong way. And I'm not in trying not to work for free anymore, so why I would strip this down to bare metal for free and redo all the body work, I have no idea. So, I mean, you can do that to all the cars you want. I'm not going to. I've done enough. Yeah. So that's all that is. So I guess I'll clean this off again and start mixing up some poly. I'm also gonna run around the car with some red Scotch-Brite because I know I got like some primer up here. I didn't get it sanded, so I'm just gonna go scuff all this stuff up and stuff like that. You get the idea. Now I do have a couple areas, mainly just one, that I sanded through here, not paying attention. I was so happy about how easy that primer sanded that I sanded through this edge. So I'm going to dust some on here real lightly, a couple coats, then just cross my fingers. Should be fine. Do that a couple times. And then I'll come back and hit it with a wet coat. So I'm going to move on to somewhere else now. I'm going to hit my problem areas first. It's dark over here because half of this light went out. It's amazing how much of a difference that made. So I'm gonna have to get some more lights. Way too dark over here. Putting it on dry can make it kind of rough, but it's poly, so whatever. He's gonna have to start sanding it with some 180 at least anyway. Another real bad spot was right here. So, you know, I can't just wait. I mean, I mixed up a whole quart, so I can wait a couple minutes, see how this is reacting. I mean, not reacting. But I can't wait too long because this stuff will start to harden up. But I should know fairly soon on how this is going. was my other real bad spot? It was here. There's that fender, that sail panel. Oh, it was real bad right here. I didn't put any acetone or reducer in this, so it's kind of thick. So anyway, I'm going to keep going around and having fun. And we'll take a look one way or another on whatever it looks like. That didn't make sense, but we'll take a look at it, whether it looks good or whether it looks bad. So keep your fingers crossed, and we'll be back. Let's give you a quick look before it flashes off. Looks pretty good. See, no reactions. Way too straight for driver quality. But when you poly a car and block it all out and poly it again, that's what's gonna happen. But anyway, looking good. That was 1 quart. Probably do 2 quarts on each side. About, I guess. It doesn't need much. Whatever. Well, there's 2 quarts. I probably don't need to mix up 1 more quart. I've already got 2 coats on this door. If I would have been smart, I probably could have done the whole thing with 2 quarts. But anyway, I think we're going to be all right. That was a real bad spot. This is already drying up here. So I don't think we're gonna have any issues other than this car looks too good for what it is, because now when the paint fails, it's really gonna suck. For somebody else. And we're done. Sprayed a total of 3 quarts on the car between the 2 sides. The only problem now, like I said, is it's too nice. It ain't perfect, don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. Like if I was doing a show car, I would not be done. Actually, I would never have primed it, but it's way straighter than they're expecting it to be. Hard to show in some polyester primer peel, but anyway, it's nice. So it was all blocked to 120, 150 before this round of poly. The problem with that, with poly, is you need to start with a coarse grit to cut the peel down, but for this job, I would probably suggest that they hit it with some 180 to break it open, knock it down a little bit, then go 220, 320. Shouldn't break through. If you do break through, in most of the areas it's fine because there's poly underneath it, and where there's not, there's water primer underneath it. So probably not an issue. So it should be good to go, and I think they're gonna paint it with water base, so should be no problems from here on out until it gets in the sun and it starts bubbling. And that's it for this car. Hopefully, it leaves soon. One more thing. Why do cars look so cool in primer? I mean, this thing, I would drive it just like this, which is probably safer than painting it anyway, but man, it just looks so cool. Paint's dumb. Leave your stuff in primer.